It's only.
I feel like they.
Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? am, am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
Let's
with
see.
googly eyes.
He's
and
a gritty.
Okay.
Little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Did you remember it?
It's hopeful.
Folks, welcome to episode 49 of the Bread Loves Hockey podcast. We're in season 2. We're not really gonna be calling it that probably because we want the number
season.
to just keep going up. But yeah, we are now in the off season after what's been a pretty crazy week for the NHL. We're finally getting a little bit of a reprieve today. Most of the free agent signings have been gobbled up. We've had the draft come and go and the NHL Awards, so lots of good stuff to sink our teeth into. How you guys feeling?
Does not feel like the off season yet. Feels like you said
Right,
it
feels like the Stanley Cup just happened.
so
Like, it's
much.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, and before we started recording, Brendan and I were talking about the board of governors meeting and how he texted the group chat about the rule changing. Like I feel like that was like a year ago, but it was like
In the hockey world.
last Wednesday.
Yeah,
It's literally been a week.
it's been a week, and that's how much has gone by.
Yeah, so we were just gonna go and run through chronologically, basically day by day, hour by hour. We're not gonna do every trade and signing, but obviously hit on all the big ones. So we're just gonna start with the NHL Awards, which happened the day after we recorded last week. I feel like overall, not really any surprises. Like all the favorites kind of just won. So the Calder, Bedard won. I don't think there's any shock there.
Not
No
really. We all
complaint.
kind of predicted that.
Yeah, you guys have any comments on that one?
Yeah, not. I mean, other than the injury that made it a little, because he didn't
Yeah.
play all the games. Like, I mean, he was the best rookie.
Yeah, the conversation like February and like Brock Faber was doing okay, and then Bedard came back and
Yeah.
wasn't a discussion for long.
No.
Nope.
For the Hart, Nathan McKinnon won. I feel like this one, like I think we mentioned before, like all the finalists were like you couldn't go wrong with any of them. But I feel like McKinnon was kind of like they do this every year with one person where it's like McKinnon's gonna win the Hart this year. They're saying in like October, and then it kind of manifests itself. And it's kind of this one was kind of like a lifetime achievement award where he's kind of been due for a while. David's already won it. I don't know if Kucherov's won it or not. But,
He has.
I think so.
So
That's why I had McKinnon as who I thought it was gonna be too. I was like, just seems like it makes sense. He did have an amazing season, so it's not like they just gave it to some schmuck who's played
Right,
a while.
yeah,
Obviously
right.
he had a Hart Memorial Trophy worthy season, but not super surprising. But I am happy for him and for Avs fans who like to see their players get some recognition.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
good on them.
then we got the Norris with Quinn Hughes winning. I feel like just another one that like it could have been closer, but like I mean I think Quinn Hughes was again the favorite. Obviously I'm a big Yossi fan, but normally the Preds don't get a lot of press or love in general. So and again
They do
McCarr's
now.
like they will now. We'll get there.
Glimpse.
But yeah. And then Ted Lindsay was McKinnon again. So that's just voted the most outstanding player by the NHLPA.
What does that mean?
It's basically the Hart, but voted by different people.
Oh.
That's the NHLPA as opposed to the
Oh, so the players
PHWA.
vote.
Yeah,
Versus
Players
the Professional Hockey
Association
Writers-
instead of the writers. Yeah.
Professional Hockey Writers Association. Sure.
Yep. And then
Interesting.
wrapping it up with the Vezina was Hellebuck. This was
Mhm.
also one where it's like maybe not October, but when he came out this year playing well, like December. It's like, oh yeah, Vezina, like people were saying he could win the Hart.
Like when
Right.
he was on, when the Jets were on that long streak of, allowing 3 or fewer goals, and it was like, okay, yep, pretty much gonna go ahead and lock that up right now. And he won the Jennings Trophy by himself this year. I think Brossois was like 2 games played away from being included in that, so, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, obviously Hellebuck was a huge reason for the regular season success of the Jets this year. Not as successful, obviously, in the playoffs. They got 1 win, and then they didn't get any more. But yeah, still a great season for Hellebuck, and I don't think he has won the Vezina before. I'm pretty sure he's been a finalist, but I think that was his first Vezina. So that's just like, one of the things they do with these long-standing goaltenders. Like, okay, same with the Hart Trophy. If you've been in the league a while and you haven't won it yet, usually they'll give a little bit of a nod towards them.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we got for the awards.
Yeah,
Got
I
a lot
didn't
to
watch
cover
the
today.
awards.
We'll just fly
It
through
seems,
those.
yeah, that seemed none of those were big reactions on my part. I feel like those
No,
all
nothing
sort of made
like
sense.
unexpected, I guess.
Yeah.
So
hmm
on to the draft.
Into the draft.
Before we, I'm sure you want to cover like each of our teams, but before we do that, do you want to you have overall thoughts on the draft, the sphere, I don't know, whatever else. Celebrini going first overall. Who would have thought?
Whoa. I didn't get to see it. I was working, and didn't have like access to it at the time. And so yeah, from the view of Twitter, it seemed exactly the same. Um, except for some weird pictures of the stage because all the pictures were distorted, right? Like all the projections were distorted because it was just a picture of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the Sens did okay. I think overall, the only one that was surprising was the 3rd overall pick, but I wasn't following any of it. Brendan?
I was, as far as the presentation, I thought it was really fun, and I know there were a lot of people who were like, okay, like that league should try to just do it in the sphere every year because they thought it was really fun, and it did look really cool. Like, I don't think there were many people who were disappointed with that.
Yeah.
And they had the whole trade alert notification thing, which was pretty fun, and they were still pretty jam packed in there, like they have with all these previous NHL drafts. So it's kind of still wondering if they're gonna go through the whole decentralization thing, but I don't know. I thought this was pretty successful, although there were some issues with the mic in the beginning with that Sharks fan who was like right near the mic, and you could clearly hear him like reacting to all of the Sharks news and stuff. He was like going crazy. It's like, yeah, we need to take care of that.
Yeah.
But there's always gonna be a couple audio
That's funny.
issues, I guess. Well, maybe not always, but happens
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, I
Happens.
thought it was good too, and like you said, like maybe they'll do it every year and not do the decentralized like they had talked about. Because yeah, I got pretty much good reviews all around. It was nice to see the NHL leading the league in sports in something as opposed to copying another league. Like NHL being the first to do this was cool, and yeah, it turned out pretty well in that regard. So.
Yeah, the
Good job,
NFL and the NBA are definitely going to be kicking themselves that they weren't the first ones to do anything. And that was actually the first, not only sporting related event, but also the first live streamed event that was held in the Sphere, Las Vegas. So that's another
Interesting.
milestone for them.
Like TV live stream, yeah, because the
Yeah.
rest of it has just been concerts. That makes sense.
Just concerts and things like that. So that's pretty cool for the league too to have that. And I'm sure they paid an exorbitant amount.
Well, I heard they had to like Gary Bettman had to, I don't know, like I don't know who he would get it from, but like special permission to go over budget because like they paid, like you said, they paid a lot more than they're budgeted for the draft. But
Probably
again,
board of
seems like
supervisors or something.
Board of
yeah, it seems
governors
like-
Board of trustees, yeah,
seems
somebody.
like it paid off for them.
some board.
Do you think the sphere is big enough to have an entire basketball game in it?
Yes.
Like, I since I wasn't, I don't know how big like that bottom floor area is.
I
Like,
don't
could you
know,
fit a basketball
actually.
court? Because that'd be kind of wild. Because then you could also probably fit a hockey rink. They don't have chillers in the floor, but you could play a game inside the sphere.
Or
Doesn't
make an
really
ice rink
gain you a whole
sphere.
lot though. It's not like you're watching
Novelty.
unless you're like watching
The Jumbotron,
the
just the whole
Jumbotron,
thing.
the screen.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Close up
Jumbotron
of,
is
like,
also the game.
close up of a
That'd be
player's
wild.
face.
Yeah.
Like the entire thing.
I'd imagine that the infrastructure of the building would not support hockey ice surface.
Probably not. But a basketball game, maybe.
Yeah, basketball is probably a lot easier.
I also think the seating is like very steep, right?
It is very steep.
Or it's
Yeah.
easy to look right down at what's happening.
Mhm.
Well, you'd probably just be looking at the screen most of the time if you're really up there in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, but that would still be a cool way to watch a basketball game.
It would be different for sure.
Hmm.
I could see well, I mean, I guess if Vegas was gonna get an NBA team, which has been like the rumor before, and I know LeBron has expressed interest in bringing a team to Vegas when he retires. Like maybe they would play there, but that's like you could also just play at T-Mobile, and maybe you could
Right.
do like
Oh.
watch parties at the Sphere, but they'll probably
yeah.
have so many other events going on that it wouldn't be
Oh,
worth
it'd be hard. There might be one night a year. Yeah, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
But you never know. I mean, yeah, the potential for the Sphere is pretty great.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
But
that's pretty neat.
we can shift towards the draft itself. Obviously, I'm wearing Sharks today for Macklin Celebrini going number 1 overall to the Sharks. No surprises there.
Mhm.
And then Artem Levshinov going second to the Blackhawks, which not really a super big surprise. I think some people thought maybe Demidov was gonna go there. It was getting kind of close to that a few weeks before the draft, and then it seemed like something had shifted, and Levshinov, the Belarusian player, defenseman, was the one to go. So he's the first defenseman to go.
So I think it's Lev Shunov.
Levshinov.
Also, only defenseman in the first 6, because that was something
Yes.
that Ottawa was looking for at 7, and having 5 of the first 6 be forwards was nice for us.
Yeah. So I think some people were expecting Demidov because he's a winger. He could play with Bedard potentially, but never bad idea to get the number 1 rated defenseman.
Best available.
Yeah. So, I don't think Blackhawks fans are upset with that move. And then Beckett Seneca,
Seneca.
I think so.
Seneca.
Goes third to the Ducks, and he obviously had a great reaction to being drafted. He was really surprised that he went that high. Apparently, there were like some people who knew sort of ahead of time that that's the guy that the Ducks were planning on getting. I saw that like a couple hours before the draft, so I was like, "Oh, okay, it actually came true." I didn't think he was the best necessarily prospect at that
He
spot.
wasn't even in the top 10 like projected. For
Really?
Yeah, I'd
scouting.
seen like 9th overall, maybe was like the projections around there. Maybe he was a little bit behind that. So
Well, he'll either be a great choice, or it'll be you picked him way too early and he wasn't that good.
yeah,
See how the Ducks do.
that's gonna be big as the Ducks try to creep out of this rebuild. But I don't think he'll be with them this season. Maybe he will be. I don't know. It's tough to say where they anticipate the team will be this year. But we'll keep.
They're certainly an interesting team.
Yeah, they've got. This is like a pivotal season for them for sure, as far as like how close they really think they are to getting out of this, or if they're basically have to like start over more or less.
Right, like can you round the turn? Can you bounce off the bottom and come back up, or are you just fucking sliding into the ground?
Yeah. So precarious situation for Ducks fans right now. We won't probably go through the whole list, but I don't know.
The other thing, not the whole list, but I was gonna say like TJ Ginla.
TJ Ginla at 6,
overall
which was
to
tough.
Utah, so he didn't make it to Calgary.
Yeah. Bummer for them.
Didn't make it to Calgary, but also I think the Sens were going to take him if he made it to 7.
Probably.
Like, I don't know how you don't. I'm happy with Yakimchuk. He seems like a good mobile defenseman. Like, good offense. Can hopefully learn to play defense, and a big kid, which is nice.
A lot of these first rounders are like 6'7" for some reason.
Big.
Like a
They're
lot
all
of
big.
teams are emphasizing these really tall guys now.
Yeah.
We'll see how that
Sen's got a guy
continues.
that's I want to say 6'5", or 6'5" plus, because he grew like 2 inches since the draft combine or whatever. Because he's just shooting up, not steroids, like a weed, shooting up like a weed.
Right. Let's see, a couple older
Brendan's favorite player got drafted 12th overall.
Yes. So
Steve.
the Wild trade up one spot with Philly to get Boyum, the Denver kid. I'm just happy that he went and we finally got to hear how to pronounce his name and all that good stuff.
Right? Like, just the people that pick draft picks half the time don't say the names right anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. I do want to note slightly earlier, at 8, the Kraken picked somebody from Spokane, which is also in Washington, and I think that might be I don't know if it's their first pick from the Spokane junior team, but that's neat that he gets to like stay.
Yeah, that is cool.
In state.
Berkeley Catton Center.
Berkeley Catton. They were pretty stoked about him because that was right after the Sens pick, so I was still paying attention at that time.
Yeah, there were some other good picks in between there. Zane Perrick going to the Flames, so obviously they didn't get Iginla, but Anton Siliev going to the Devils. I thought he was pretty highly touted, and Sam Dickinson going to the Sharks after Buffalo traded back with them. I have actually heard pretty good things about Dickinson, and just in general, I thought the Sharks had a really strong draft. I don't know, a ton about the prospects, but just from what I've read and what I've heard, it sounds like they made some pretty smart moves. We've got at 19, Vegas selects Trevor Connolly, so there was some concerns about him regarding some like issues that he's had in the past. I think he was accused of saying some racial slur towards another player. I don't know if that ended up being founded, and he also like posed in front of like a Nazi symbol that his like friend and him like made out of some toys or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it sounds like he's acknowledged that he made a mistake, and I'm hoping that that's true and that he's like, pushing towards being a better person and like, just moving on from being like a dumb kid more or less. But we'll see. I think his on ice skills are pretty solid, so from that perspective, I think a lot of Vegas fans are happy at the value at that pick. I was hoping that they would pick Yzerman, who ends up going 20th to the Islanders, because he has a lot of scoring upside. He's part of the U.S. National Development Program, so that's too bad. But I guess we'll see. It's still so young, and we probably won't see either of these guys playing in the league for a little while anyways. Yeah. It's always tough to really tell. Then Dean, we get down to the Boston Bruins at 25th overall, and who do they take?
Dean.
Dean
Materno.
Dean Materno.
And this was, we awesome. Wanted Paul Baudouin or Gwyn, whatever, however you say that. But Utah traded up and took him right before us. So instead we drafted Dean, 6'7" center.
See?
There's
big guy.
I feel like when you're drafting late in the first round, you're kind of drafting for like potential upside. Like he could be nothing special, or people are saying he could be Tage Thompson 2.0. Like he could be a unicorn, but like you kind of go for this high risk, high reward at like late first round, as opposed to you either do that or you do what Boston's done in the past, where it's like you draft this guy who has like basically confirmed fourth line forward, like
Mhm.
nothing more, nothing less. Like you know what you're getting, but this is like could could have some upside, could not pan out, but um yeah, I mean I'm happy with it. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, we're not going to see him with a Bruins jersey for a couple years at least, but
Yeah.
uh yeah, I mean happy with it.
The last pick of the draft, the
The
Oilers
whole
actually
draft?
trade up. Um, they trade into the first round with Philly, and
Ah.
they take Sam O'Reilly. So they were not in the first round, and they're like, you know what, we'll just move up here. I don't remember how many
Mhm.
picks. I feel like they didn't move too many picks up to get him, but yeah, that was kind of unexpected. One other minor note that I had, which was kind of fun, is Solberg, the defenseman, goes 23rd overall to the Ducks, and that's the first time that a Norwegian-born player has been drafted in the first round. So that's
Ah,
kind of
It was
fun.
like a very diverse first round, like as far as nationalities, I feel like.
Oh wait, it
yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't. Or was it Brenseg Nygaard? Yeah, that's who it was. There were actually two Norwegian players drafted in the first round, but it was
There might have been
Nygaard
even
going to
three.
Detroit, which of course Stevie Y. He's
Yeah.
always going off the board,
Mhm.
especially in
Michael
the first
Branstad
round.
Nygaard,
Yeah.
15th pick to the Red Wings.
So my apologies to Michael for the slight, as he was the first Norwegian-born
But then
player.
Stian Solberg is the second.
Guess
Is he
so.
also
Yeah.
Norwegian? Oh,
Maybe he
that's cool.
wasn't born there, but he represents it. I don't know, but
Huh.
I know it was Brensig Nygaard. So pretty cool little story there.
Yeah.
Again, we don't have a ton of knowledge on the prospects. None of us are really in those sort of camps, but maybe as we keep going here, I'll start doing a little bit more research myself. But I did not do anything really this year. And then obviously round two continues, but yeah, I'm not really gonna want to get into that because then we'll really start getting into the weeds. There were a couple guys.
And well, at least for your team, do you feel any way about any of the not first round picks for either Vegas or Ottawa?
The next Ottawa pick, that 7th in the second round, 6'7" Swedish defenseman that had like ridiculous amount of penalty minutes, just like massive guy, just goes out and crushes people. So that's pretty cool.
Gabriel Eliasson.
hmm He's big. And then our next draft pick was the guy that was like 6'5" plus. So we got the, and Carter Yakimchuk is 6'3". So we're getting big boys,
Lots of big guys. Yep.
which
Uh,
I'm good for.
the Capitals drafted Cole Hudson, 43rd overall. They actually traded up with Buffalo to get him. I think a lot of people were saying that he might be like one of the steals of the draft, and just overall, the Capitals had a pretty good draft. Um, they took Parasak in the first round. I don't know much about him, but I just heard that they did pretty good. At least like that was some of the chatter during the actual draft itself. And I watched some of day two, and I was really just sort of watching it for the trades, which I'm glad I did because there were a lot of fun ones.
Yeah, the Bruins had a fourth round, a fifth round, and a sixth round pick, and like, I mean, nothing special, but I heard their sixth rounder, Loki Johansson, um, has some like a more upside than you would expect from a sixth rounder. Like he's a defender, but like good shot, good skating, things like that. So that's the other one that I'm like, like maybe that'd be a crazy steal. Like even if they're even playing in the NHL, then obviously get well more than a sixth round worth for that. So that's all I had on the Bruins draft.
Vegas does does take a goalie a little bit later on, but yeah, they didn't have a ton of. I think they traded into the third round, at some point. Yeah, they traded into the third round to get the goalie, Pavel Moisevich from Belarus. But that was pretty much it. They had a couple later draft picks, and they also that's when they traded Thompson. But we'll get into the trades in a little bit here.
Well, I can briefly touch on the parade. I just wanted to share with Brendan, who already saw it, Paul Maurice's shirt with his two cats. The one on the front for like the Panthers logo, and I think it's also the same like logo on the back. But he said his daughter made it for him, and he told her that if they won the cup, he would wear it for the parade, which he did. So cool shirt. That was all. That's all I got on the parade.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
I just saw it for the first time right now, and it's really cool.
Paul
Yeah, and he has
Maurice's
another his other
crew.
cat with the other logo on the back,
Oh, that's cool.
which is pretty fun. So
I didn't realize it was his cat. That makes it better.
yeah, both of his cats.
So that's that, and then we're on to free agency and a couple trades leading up to it. I don't know. I know for free agency we're gonna go team by team.
Yeah, we can cover a couple of the trades that happened before free agency, I guess, briefly.
Yeah.
Do we want to do that team by team? Like just touch on big ones and then our teams?
Yeah, it's not a ton of them, but
maybe
well,
just go through all the
okay, they're
big
kind of
trades
is.
first, and then do free agency because there's only like maybe 5 big trades.
Yeah,
And start with the Caps one, getting Andrew Mangiapane from the Flames
for a second.
for second round pick. Well, I guess we're getting rights to sign him, right?
No, I think he's still under contract
Oh, okay,
because they didn't sign him to an extension.
gotcha.
So I think that
What
was
was
just getting some assets for him.
Oh, TSN doesn't classify that one as a major trade, apparently.
Oh, that's a slight.
No, that's for me. I'm on the TSN website.
I'm on the TSN, and the first major trade is Markstrom for Kevin Ball and a first.
Don't know what to tell you. Mine's right here. There's proof.
This guy sent it.
Here's proof. There you go. Major trade.
Anyway,
June 27th. Oh, I'm looking at June 19th. That's why.
Yeah, a little
and
behind.
We got the Sergachev trade. Utah gets him from Tampa for J.J. Moser, Connor Geeky, a 2025 second round pick, and a 2024 seventh round pick. That's good for Utah. They needed defense. They did a good job going out and getting defense.
They literally didn't have any defenders signed to
No.
a contract going into this offseason. So, yeah, they pretty much had the ability to completely rebuild their blue line.
Yeah, they then got John Marino as well
Yep.
for a couple more picks.
When the Sergachev trade was announced during the second round of the draft, I was like, my jaw literally dropped when I heard Sergachev. I was like, whoa,
No one was expecting that.
pump the brakes here. So that was a pretty cool one. Moser, a young defenseman, and Connor Geeky, a young forward. So this is just Tampa trying to get younger. They obviously made another big move, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But well, lack thereof of move, I suppose. But the Marino deal also for Utah, so that's good value, I think, for them. Didn't seem like the Devils were going to be able to keep him after some of the free agent targets that they were looking at. So makes sense for both teams, probably. And then Tampa trades Tanner Jeannot to the Kings for a fourth in this year's draft and a second round pick next year. So, of course, Tanner Jeannot, they had acquired him in the previous trade deadline, I believe, for all those picks. So just didn't really pan out for them, and they kind of bite the bullet while they still can. Just say, you know what, let's recoup a couple assets and retool here. So probably a smart move. Obviously, the trade did not pan out for them, but all you can do is try to salvage what value you still have. So getting a second back is decent.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what a 4th round pick's going to turn into either.
No, you don't. We've got the Kevin Hayes trade, which Kevin Hayes and a second round pick in next year's draft go into Pittsburgh for future considerations. So the Blues just purely cap dump. Didn't work out there. The Penguins continue to be picking up veterans for some reason, even though they should be getting much younger. Okay, I mean, you literally didn't give up anything for him, and you gained a pick as well. So as far as that's concerned, like, if you really don't think that they're gonna be able to retool on the fly quickly enough to make a real contender, it's like, okay, we'll just take him for another year or whatever, and see if we can get some more assets. So it's not terrible, just not gonna be good for the short term, I think, for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then we had the Logan Thompson trade. So one of the trades that Vegas does over this short window here, they trade their goaltender, who for a while was seen to be like the future starter for Vegas, and he was also doing a signing for autographs like
Yeah, I saw that.
20 minutes after he got traded, which it was very nice of him to follow through on that. And I don't think he really felt any ill will towards the team. He later got he didn't confirm it, but Kelly McCrimmon confirmed that he had requested a trade, basically, because he didn't want to be sharing the starts with Hill. He kind of felt that he was strong enough to win number one role elsewhere, so he wanted to explore that. So at the time, I was obviously disappointed because I really thought Thompson is a great goalie, and Vegas actually is losing cap space with this trade because he was making less than the league minimum for a contract. So you can't replace that with less money.
Interesting.
So not
Because of
a
a rookie
cap
contract?
move. Yeah, he was signed for $766,667. So the current the previous minimum contract was $775. I think it's actually $825 now, or maybe $800K. I might have that wrong, but I thought that it got bumped up.
Mhm.
Actually, you know what? I think that's for probably the next CBA is probably when that'll get changed, because I'm pretty sure I saw players signing for $775. Anyways, I was a little sad to see him go, but if he didn't feel like he wanted to stick around, then I think it's good to get some value there. Obviously, they got the pick that they used to acquire Moisevich, the goalie. So I guess we'll see if they end up getting their future goalie for him anyways. Probably not, but you never know.
But what is it, 2 hours later, they get another goalie.
They do. They do sign Ilya Samsonov.
Oh. I meant the trade for Akira Schmid.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, they haven't signed him yet, so I don't have him in my mind at the moment.
They have the signing rights for him. It just pops up as him part of the trade.
Yes. So that one, they trade Paul Cotter and a third round pick in next year's draft to the Devils and acquire Akira Schmid's rights and Alexander Holtz, who's a young forward with a lot of upside, who kind of needed a change of scenery. So I'm excited about that. Paul Cotter, I would have been okay with him sticking around, but he doesn't make me too upset to see him leave. I think he'll do pretty well in New Jersey. But I think I think it's fine. So I'm excited to see what Holt brings, and Schmid will most likely be the third goalie and will be playing in Henderson this year.
Mm-hmm.
With
How
any-
did you feel about the fourth liner swap of Lauco for Lettieri?
I mean, it's basically just trading up in the fourth round because Lauka's a better player than Lettieri.
Hmm.
So I guess we had our eyes set on someone in the fourth round that we thought might not be there for our pick. But I think I just mentioned this to Brendan
Elliot
that like
Gronwald.
Lauko is just kind of like a bottom six forward, and we have a ton of them, so not really a big loss.
Yeah.
The weird thing was that we already had Vinny Lettieri in our system and put him on waivers, and he got claimed like last year, so now we're kind of trading to get him back.
Hmm.
So
It's like, are you
kind
really
of
gonna waive him
disappointing.
again too and lose him again?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, we basically just downgraded a winger that is like someone who's up and down in the lineup for the trade up in the fourth round a little bit. So not much to it.
No.
Yeah.
I guess rounding out day 2, so the Leafs acquire the rights to Chris Tanev, and then they later sign him to a 4-year deal. And they the Lightning acquire the rights to sign Jake Gensel for a 3rd-round pick next year, and then they sign him to an extension as well. So those were the last couple ones there. And then we've got a couple other minor deals. Kovacevic. I'm sorry, Dean.
I mean,
I was gonna skip that one and talk about the Chikrin one, but you can talk
yeah,
about
Chikrin and for
Yeah,
Jensen.
I think we could probably skip Kovacevic. Sorry.
He got a pick in return. Next.
Next. This
Yeah,
one,
Chikrin
Owen will know
for
something
Nick
about.
Jensen and the third. Nick Jensen's a stable right-hand D, and that's what the Sens need. Great partner for Sanderson for the next year. Unless we go Sanders Zub, then great partner for Shabbat. I think Chikrin wasn't going to sign an extension, despite I think being from Ottawa, or the Ontario region. I think I could be wrong.
Not sure.
But he had some connection there, or maybe his grandpa lived there or something. But yeah, he apparently wasn't wanting to stick around, and wasn't. Maybe this is just copium from Sens fans, but maybe he wasn't the best in the locker room either. But
I heard
to
that
get a
too.
third and Nick Jensen, he's only signed for I think 2 more years, so it won't be that old. He's already kind of old, but meh.
Yeah, not a ton of return, but like you said, you kind of forced the team's hand. Like you didn't want to re-sign, so they got what they could.
And we got
in
cap
return.
space out of it, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the time to get the return was when he was still with Arizona, basically, and so they got
Right.
they got good value for him during that trade, and then that was kind of it. Like, I don't think the situation in Ottawa was going to lend to a huge deal for him unless you like packaged him with a couple other players.
Yeah,
But those
But,
kind
it
of
just
those kind of
didn't make
huge
sense.
deals don't happen a lot anymore.
No, it just didn't make sense to get another left-hand defenseman. Like we had Sanderson, Shabbat, Brandstrom, who has since left, and Chikrin, and like that's just a lot of left-hand defensemen, and they're all sort of puck movers. Like it just isn't, not the best team building. So having a good, stable right-hand defenseman, check one for Chef Steos. Good job, buddy.
Then you guys got even more cap space by trading away Matthew Joseph for, well, not for anything really, but giving up a 3rd-round pick to get that cap relief. So
I mean, I don't know. I like Joseph. I think he's a fun player. I think he's a good locker room guy. I think everybody loves him. It's tough to see him go, but again, cap space is nice. I'd rather have Shane Pinto on the team than Matthew Joseph. So
And
can't get too mad about it.
the Blues signed Pierre Olivier Joseph too. So
Yeah.
both the Joseph brothers get to play together in St. Louis, which is pretty fun.
Then they can't penalize each other like they did last year when they were on the Sens and the Pens, and they slashed and high sticked each other at the same time.
Their parents were at the game too, and they
Yeah,
were like,
it was wild.
Like,
It
what's
was one of
going
the
on?
coolest moments of the season.
That was pretty
That's all the
fun.
big trades.
Yeah.
So, and some
Um,
small ones.
Yeah,
Sokolov was dealt to Utah today. Oh, and I don't know if you saw that
I
deal.
did see that. I like Soko. He's fun. He's been in the system for a while. I don't know who Jan Jenik is. Eh,
He's a young defenseman.
The
he's a
right
right
winger.
winger.
Oh, right winger. I really thought he was a defenseman.
Got a defensive
Uh,
name.
turns
He
out nobody knows
does.
who he is.
Well, whoever he is, he's on the Sens now. Well, I don't think they
He is.
signed him yet, but
Jenik had 16 goals and 36 points in 55 games with the Tucson Roadrunners. Oh, I saw him play. Probably.
cool.
Mhm.
Jan is a versatile, skilled forward. Senators President and General Manager Steve Starr said capable of playing at both center and wing. He's tenacious and demonstrates good offensive upside. Third round pick of the Oats in 2018 and is an RFA. Yeah. Huh.
So they haven't signed him yet, but obviously the
Yeah.
expectation is they will. Probably not much more than league minimum, if I had to take a guess.
I would guess so. But trading a 24-year-old for a 23-year-old, so, like, I guess that's better.
Getting younger, even though you
Getting
traded for Nick
younger.
Jensen. So
Well, but we got plenty of young D. We also our first round pick, number 7, was a young D. So
yeah.
I think we'll be fine.
So that's pretty much it for the trades. But obviously the big news is all of the UFA signings and extensions
Um,
and whatnot. So lots of good stuff there. You want to just sort of, so this time we'll just break it down by team more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Anaheim. They didn't have too much
Anybody?
going on. Not really. I mean, you kind of would expect them to do a little bit more, and I believe they're not even at the cap floor yet. Um, they signed Isaac Lundestrom, their RFA. They
A 1-year deal.
1 year, so just kick that can down the road.
Yeah.
They re-signed Vakanainen, former Boston Bruin.
Also for just 1
And
year.
Harkins, which that's pretty much it. So yeah,
They
they're
only signed 1 2-year contract. And the most cap they gave out per year was Lundestrom at 1.5. They just didn't give out any money.
yeah.
They're not committing to anything. Which, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Figure out what's going on and move in a direction, but you also got to start moving.
Yeah, so they're at a projected cap hit of 67 million. Okay, the cap floor is 65, so they are pretty much
Just above
right
the floor.
right above. Yeah.
Those signings put them above.
Yeah, they basically, yeah.
Just barely. On to the Bruins. 2 big signings to start it off.
2 big signings. I guess I'll just say first the other signings. We'll start with those. They're signed a bunch of people, some couple like depth pieces, and then some AHLers. But yeah, the 2 big ones, Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. Lindholm, obviously the Bruins have needed a center since Bergeron Krejci retired. I don't think Lindholm is like a true 1C, but I think we needed a 1C and a 2C because what we had, Courtland Zaka isn't gonna cut it. So he will play probably on the top line. Well, I'm sure it'll move around, but if we do end up getting another center at some point, then we can have him play 2C. So kind of some versatility there. We give him 7 years, 7.75 per. There were some talks about 9 million, so I'm glad we didn't go there. Like we're not paying him like a 1C, which is good. It might be like a slight overpayment, but I don't hate it. And obviously the term, it's like, yeah, it's gonna look not great in 7 years, probably, but like any long term, unless you're signing like a young guy, it's like you give him the
Right.
term so you can get a lower AAV, and you kind
Yeah.
of deal with it at the end. And I don't know, I haven't looked to see what the like no move, no trade clause, anything like that is, or like the end of the deal, what kind of options you have. But we're
Yeah.
kind of getting ahead of ourselves because that's 7 years from now.
Yeah.
So, yep, he was 29, and then Zadorov is also 29. This one, another kind of more of a depth piece. He was playing third pair minutes in Vancouver. 6 years, 5 million per. I don't love that. I feel like it's a bit of an overpay, more so than the Lindholm one. Um, we got rid of Derek Forbort, so he's an upgrade over Derek Forbort.
Definitely.
Who were giving 3.5 million, which is also an overpayment.
Yeah.
But Zadorov's, well, a big body and kind of a defensive defenseman, so he can kind of also play up and down the lineup depending on the team's needs. You can put him with McAvoy or whoever, or have him again on the third line and kind of spread out the D pairings to get everyone like somewhat even
Mhm.
time on ice, keep fresh legs and all that. So
My concern would just be paying that guy that long. Like, is that big
yeah,
body guy
again,
gonna last till he's 35
yeah, I don't
or
know.
32?
I mean, I think 5 million per is not gonna look that as bad during
For a
that
third
time.
pair
Like,
defenseman though, 5 mil is a lot.
Like, ideally,
yeah,
that's league minimum or
Well,
close to.
if he's playing like 18, 20 minutes, it's like I don't know. Um, so yeah, I didn't love that one, but I guess it could be worse.
Way not as cool as Billy Sweezy, which is such a sick name.
Yeah,
Billy Sweezy? Hell yeah.
Swayze. The
yeah, we did
Sweezy
need another
Express.
defender because we didn't really have like a seventh defender. So
And he's
now,
from Massachusetts. So you know he's gonna be
Mhm.
just amazing on the Bruins. Yeah, I just clicked on him. He's from Hanson,
There we
Mass.
go. Yeah,
They love their
league min.
Massachusetts boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically got 5 guys a league min, and then Max Jones for 2 years, 1 million per. So he'll just be like a bottom six guy because we need more of those, obviously.
Yes. You
Obviously.
just need different ones every year. You don't
Yeah,
really need to any
that's what
surplus.
Toronto did for a while because they paid like the core four so much that every year they recycle, or not recycle. I guess the opposite of that. They just get a whole new
Yeah.
fourth line every year.
Who's the new fourth liner? Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yay, he's different than the last guy. Woo. Yeah.
Ooh.
Buffalo
So
had a lot
only
of
a couple
signings.
only a couple
Buffalo did
moves
that,
there.
made a lot of signings. None of them seem to be that exciting, but they made
Jason
a,
Tucker,
yeah,
1 year, 5 mil, sure. Sam
sure,
Lafferty, 2 years, 2 mil a pop, sure.
sure.
Nicholas Ove-Kubel, 1 year, 1.5, sure.
Do any of those guys
Jacob
move the
Branson.
needle that much? Like, none of them feel,
They're kind of just like rounding out their bottom six, more or less. They must feel like confident in
right?
their top six.
And they're young
Yeah.
guys, I guess.
I didn't
Steve
see they
Reimer, one
signed Felix
year,
Sandstrom.
Josh
1 mil.
Dunn. Do you guys see Josh Dunn?
No,
The
Yes.
Josh Dunn signed by Buffalo.
Not.
2 whole years.
I don't think it's the one that you're thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. From the Cleveland Monsters. It's the one from
Oh.
Clarkson.
Oh, I thought. There. I think there's like. Isn't the guy from 21 Pilots named Josh Dunn, or is that?
So I was
that
thinking.
I don't know.
I thought
This
that's.
guy's from.
I thought you were making that joke.
Oh no, this is a Clarkson guy.
Yeah, it is, but his last name is Dun.
Oh, not Dunne, like the hockey
Hmm.
player.
Good memory though.
They also signed. So they signed a couple goalies. They signed James Reimer to a 1-by-1, and they signed Felix Sandstrom to a one year league minimum. So just trying to protect themselves a little bit goalie wise, because still a little unsure with what they're gonna do with UPL and Levi, if both of those guys are still the projected number ones. So they got a little competition there. None of those guys really move the needle a whole lot, though. I wouldn't be too excited to have 36-year-old James Reimer on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of like not a great person, I've heard either. So,
No, he's like kind of like a pretty bad person.
but yeah. Anyways, we can always get the
Let's
breakdown
go
from Sandroni.
Buffalo. Yeah.
He probably will be like, yeah, I didn't know any of those guys.
On to Calgary. They
move.
did a little bit.
Yeah, still not a ton.
Sharangovich, 5 years, 5.75.
Sharon Govich.
Sharangovich. Jake Bean,
That's a good move.
I like the Anthony
1.75.
Mantha 1 year,
Anthony
3.5
Mantha
mil.
is I mean, probably a bottom sixer at this point, middle six
Yeah.
maybe.
Did not
Forward.
work out in Vegas, and it was
I
we
didn't even
pretty much
remember he
always
went
knew
there.
that he wasn't going to re-sign.
Yeah.
So
Martin Furk at 30. Okay.
Furk, no vowels in his last name. I always like that.
Woo! FRK.
Yeah, he's bounced around. Devin
Yeah.
Cooley, the goalie who played his first year with the Sharks this year, signs with them. So he was the one who had like that like existential quote or whatever. He's like, doesn't matter, like we're all gonna die, something like that. He's like very calm and like
That's funny.
like that. So I will be following him lightly because he seems fun. Goalies are just weird.
Oh,
Brian Lomberg
goalies are
back in
just weird.
Calgary because he was there back in the day before going to Florida.
I don't think I knew that actually.
Oh, did he
He's
go
really
across in
not.
the Kachuk Huberdeau trade? Was
No,
he an extra in that?
I think he was there before that.
Yeah.
In Florida. But yeah, I don't know. He's fine, I guess. Next.
I guess. Carolina re-signed Jacob Slavin. That was huge. 8 years, 6.46, which feels like
Not a lot of money.
That's
not a lot
great
of money, but
value.
also he's already 30,
Yeah.
and they signed him for 8 years.
He's also one of the
Which is-
players that's like everyone's like most underrated player. It's like
Right, but how is he going to be most underrated player when he's 35 and he still has 3 years left on this contract? Like this seems like a push now and buy out or trade away for cap space to whoever is bottoming out in 3 years. Like, I don't know. It's good to get that guy back on the team because I think he is super important for them. But other than
They got
that,
some other defensive signings too. Like Sean Walker's a good pickup.
And
5 years,
Ghost.
3.6 per, and Ghost got to spare like
yeah,
3
Yep.
years, 3.2 per because they have
They
good.
re-signed him.
Carolina has good defense, like defensive. Not I don't want to say defensive defensemen. Good defenders who can play defense that you can pair with Ghost to spare to have him be more offensive.
right.
Kind of do his thing.
Yep.
Other than that, Tyson Yost for league mid, Martinuk for 3 years at $3 million. So Martinuk gets a good chunk of change.
They
Eric
signed
Robinson,
Will Carrier, former
Yeah.
Golden Knight. He had been there for the
6
whole.
years.
So one of the misfits is gone again. Sad to see him go, but I knew we weren't going to be able to keep him, and I'm glad we didn't sign him for 6x2. Like I think he's a really solid fourth liner, and he like his numbers are actually pretty good for playing fourth line minutes. He's like super hardworking, but he is pretty physical. He like often leads the league in hits or is like around in the top 5 or top 10. And yeah, 6 years for him is a lot. So
Why do you pay a fourth liner for 6 years? Like that feels like maybe a 3-year deal, maybe a 4-year deal if you want to go long, but like 6
think it
feels like a long time.
It happens sometimes, but
if you really want
Maybe-
some guy, yeah, you just overpay a little bit.
maybe
Right.
there's no
Character
trade
guy.
restriction. We don't know.
Yeah. Next.
He's 29, so move on to the Blackhawks.
Blackhawks. They
Lots of
So-
depth pieces. They signed a
I mean,
bunch of people.
Bertuzzi and Teravainen, I'd say, are a little more than depth pieces,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
pretty. I
Middle
mean,
six.
They
Middle six,
definitely
for
they
sure.
definitely rounded out a lot of stuff, like definitely
Yeah.
wanting to
And
be a lot more
Brossoit.
competitive.
Yeah.
They bring back Teuvo Teravainen, who previously won the Stanley Cup with them in 2015, so he signs for a 3x5.4.
The rebuild is over.
Yeah, it's over already.
Well, it has been built in the one day.
It's been built.
I mean,
Rome
they
actually
certainly
was
did a
built.
lot.
They
They
did.
got a lot older is what it seems like they did. 29, 29, 31, 26, 34,
Yeah.
36, 36, 34.
Couple
Right? Like
former
they got
Bruins.
old men to come
They
play
love
hockey
their
for
former
them.
Bruins. On
Yeah,
this
lots
team.
of former Bruins.
Pat Maroon,
Bertuzzi,
Craig Smith.
Pat Maroon spent a very brief amount of time there, and Craig Smith.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, part of the reason that you recognize a lot of these names is because they've been in the league for a while. So it's like,
Right.
yes, we know all these guys are established NHL veterans. Well, most of them, but that also means that they're probably not playing at their peak right now.
Right.
Maybe you could
Seems
see
like they're trying to
Anderson
insulate some of the young guys.
being in that sweet spot. They pick up
Yeah,
Alec
at
Martinez,
26.
who wasn't going to stick around in Vegas for a 1-year deal, and TJ Brody they signed for a 2-year deal, who doesn't stick with the Leafs.
My coworker today was asking me if I want to do the bet again of Chicago being a bottom 6 team.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
what you say? You're like, not as
yeah, not
much
as
of a
sure
lock this
year.
time around.
Yeah, I mean they can still be a bottom 6 team, but I mean I can now see 6 teams being worse than them.
It's not as crazy as it was last year for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that seemed pretty obvious to me.
They will probably not be worse than the next team, Colorado, who will probably be better than them. They stole 2 Senators.
It's like probably not be worse.
They
Yeah.
probably
That
will be
means
worse.
they'll be better than
Yeah,
them.
I
was like, I
that's
think
a hot
you're
take.
Chicago
wrong.
over Colorado.
I'll bet on that one.
Yeah.
Colorado will probably be better than Chicago, especially because they took 2 Senators, but they also signed Drouin for another year.
He earned it.
Seemed like a good guy to have around.
A
Yeah.
lot of people.
You will
He
give
played a
you
league min
Ranta.
last year and played great.
Right, so like $2.5 million if you have the cap space for it, sure. Yoel Kiviranta, I remember good things about him in Dallas. 1 year, 7 at Leagueman, so that's good. Calvin DeHaan, decent defenseman, old, 33, but like you need basically Leagueman. You need people to play minutes. Parker Kelly, former Sen, very hard worker. 2 years, 8.25, and he's only 25. And then another Sen, Eric Brandstrom. 1 year. Oh, this is funny. It says length 1 year, cap 900,000, but then it says salary
Oh,
9
9
million.
million.
Yeah.
Whoops. Whoops, TSN tracker.
Whoops.
Also, I
funny.
think this happened on the night we were recording last week, the Casey Middlestat signing.
Mhm.
That was a
3 years, 5.75 per,
I think we actually
Good
might have
signing.
mentioned that during the
I think that's a
episode.
good one.
maybe. Well,
Can't remember.
there it is again.
Yeah.
Still a good signing. It has
So-
held up over the past week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when they
they're
haven't been
looking good.
Great
playing.
value so far.
So yeah, Brandstrom was part of that Mark Stone trade, and he never panned out. So obviously, the Sens lost that trade pretty handedly.
Oh, heavy. Yeah.
But I
But I
think
mean,
it'll be good. Good change of pace for Brandstrom. Get some new scenery, and won't be expected to do as much in Colorado as he was in Ottawa, which I think is probably going to be the best for him.
absolutely.
So
Have him just watch Makar.
yeah,
like that.
that's always valuable, isn't it? And
Oh,
or
absolutely.
Taves.
Yeah, but he's definitely more of a Makar build.
Yeah, not nearly the same ceiling, of course,
Oh no.
but
No.
plays more of that style of game.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Avs didn't have a ton of cap space to work with this offseason, so they're gonna look pretty similar this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can stay healthy.
Columbus signs Sean Monahan 5 by 5.5. I think that's a
Don't
good
love
deal
it.
for them. I think they
I don't.
need. You don't? You don't think Sean Monahan's worth it?
I don't know. I think he's old and not what he used to be. In 5 years,
He's
is a
only
long
29.
time. Yeah,
You-
only. But you
You
think about it,
signed Zadorov for 6 years at 20.
I don't like that signing either.
Well, you signed Lindholm, who's also 29, for 7 years.
Yeah, but I'd say Lindholm's a better center than Monahan.
Yeah, oh, I would agree.
But like also for Monahan, like 5.5 is a lot. I feel like that's an overpayment as well.
He had a good year with Winnipeg when he got traded, and with Montreal too. Honestly,
Like, I don't know. I feel like he's not what he used to be.
Well, sure, of course. He's 29.
Yeah, but there's plenty of 29-year-olds that are still playing great.
Right.
I feel like he really fell off.
Really fell off. Well, he fell off the 22-23 season.
yeah,
What do you mean he really fell off?
he had a
He had the
decent
most
year.
points of his career last year.
Dean doesn't know anything.
Dean doesn't know anything.
He's having a rebound. Or that's just a fluke, and then he drops off again.
Or
this year.
or maybe I'm
Let's
wrong.
look here. That's a good point.
But he had 59 last season on the partially on the lowly Canadiens, and then he had a -10 on the Canadiens with 35 points.
Maybe I'm thinking the other thing where he wasn't great and then had a good season last season, and then they paid him, and it's like, are you gonna get what you got last season, or are you gonna get like?
He did. So he had a point a game season in 18-19.
Yeah. Otherwise,
But
like,
that was his only I mean, before that was 64 and 74, which isn't bad.
I mean, he had that 1 year, 82 points in 78 games.
Yeah, point a game. I mean, just
Yeah.
over, but yeah.
Yeah, and then that's like
But
half
that
a
was
point a game.
But then
mostly.
since then, his best was last year, right? Split
Yeah.
between the two different teams.
Yeah, so it's like I think last year was more of a fluke than.
But even on crappy Montreal, he's still at 35.
Yeah, someone's got to score for them.
He was probably
But-
playing
but
second line center.
They don't
right
have
there.
to. It's fair. He's
Do
probably
you
getting more
think he
minutes.
gets more points this year than last year?
I don't want to lose money to you anymore.
That's probably smart, Owen.
I feel like
Too
maybe
many
I'm learning a
variables for
lesson.
that one.
That's I don't know. Where did he get signed? Who were we talking about? Columbus?
See,
Oh,
that's you get him. You get him while he's all emotional. He's like, yeah, Monahan's good. He's great. And
Monahan's the best fucking player in the world.
when
Don't you
he's all
know?
excited about the Sens, be like,
Like
oh yeah, they're
Monahan.
definitely gonna make the playoffs this year. I'm
We're
like,
gonna
oh,
win
the Sens are-
every hockey
Oh,
game. We're going 82
with
and 0.
with Linus, Linus, yeah, right. I forgot big blank Linus.
Did you watch the media conference when he went to Ottawa? It was
I
pretty
didn't
good.
watch it.
Oh,
Such a
him answering
character.
questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a great character. I'm really excited. I'm hopeful that he'll like the city and will want to stay. Obviously, but I also think that, I mean, when you looked at the metrics, and also it feels like it's just coping, right? But like when you look at the metrics, Corpusalo couldn't stop a beach ball and led in the first shot often, and Linus never did that. So
He never misses a puck.
never
Yeah.
misses a puck. The guy's perfect from a Bruins fan. I mean, I think if I asked you if you wanted him back, you'd say yes. So I think that's enough to
Yeah.
be pretty
well, I mean,
confident.
if we had the money, I guess. Yeah, we don't need two starting goalies.
Right,
um,
right. But it's not like you were like eager to get rid of them.
No. Yeah, both our goalies. There were like a handful of times each of them throughout the year. I'm like, oh, I'd like to have that one back. Like they could have stopped it. Most of the time, I'm like, yep. What are you gonna do? Like you can't save. Like y'all
Right.
expect you to save that. And there's plenty of ones where you expect it to go in, and they do save it. So
Right.
Like,
Whereas I had a lot of the opposite, where it's like,
It's a
Oh.
bonus save.
you should definitely
Yeah.
save that one, and then the puck's in the back of the net.
yeah.
That's the Ottawa Senators experience, huh?
So
Or
far,
maybe
but
it
hey,
was the Ottawa Senators
was,
experience.
was.
Oh, we'll see.
that was the former management.
Yeah.
right.
The new guys have just been cleaning up so far. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
We're still at sea.
We got a long
Columbus
way to
also-
go here. We got to pick up the
also
pace.
signed-
Are we
Jack
gonna do every
Johnson.
single one?
Well, we only go so in depth. Like we can do only just the big signings. Like Jack
Okay.
Johnson, who got signed
Jack
today.
Johnson at league mid. That's not a big signing.
37-year-old
Move
baby.
on.
Stanley
Oh,
Cup
that's
champion.
Dallas
Yeah, Stanley Cup champion, rings in the room. You know.
rings
have
in
it.
the room.
Let's see.
Dallas
think
signed
Dallas
a
can
lot
do
of
a
people
lot.
for no. They signed a lot of people, but for not a lot of money. They signed Duchesne, Casey DeSmith for 3x1, Duchesne 1x3, Labushkin 3x3. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing.
I like the Duchesne
Dumba
signing.
2x5. 2x5 or 2x maybe 2x5.
It's weird. It
0.5.
has the cap and the salary is the
Yeah,
same, even
yeah.
though it's a 2-year deal. I think it's.
Detroit.
Allow me to
5.5
read
per.
more for you.
Check the cap friendly.
3.75 per year.
Interesting.
Wow. So they didn't get that
Weird
right
that
at
it's
all.
that messed up. Yeah.
That's okay. Made a lot
They re-signed Patty Kane. 1 year, $4 million, and then Leakman, and then Cam Talbot, who probably is washed and they just need a backup. Jack Campbell, Leagueman, sure, give him a chance.
After
Eric
getting bought out.
Gustafson. Yeah. Surprised Eric Gustafson isn't retired yet. I feel like he's so old. He's 32. No clue who Sheldon Dries is, despite him being 30. Tyler Mott. We used to have him. We called him Mottawa.
Ottawa. was in Vancouver
And then
for a while.
yeah, they signed Tarasenko, 2 years, 4.75, which I mean he's 32 now. Like,
It's fine.
Yeah.
somebody's got to play hockey. And
He was
pretty good.
the one that was left as far as today, that had the highest like points going into or from last season. So we're really
Right.
scraping the bottom of the barrel now as far as who's left. That's like decent. So
Right, anywhere near like playing significant minutes in a hockey game.
yeah, now the pretty much the biggest news items we'll get will be any other trades, and then people who had acquired rights or had acquired RFAs, and we'll sign them to extensions. So
Yeah.
we'll still wait on
For the
those.
Oilers, they re-signed some people. Re-signed Connor Brown. They got for one million.
Like
A lot of
Arvidsson.
league men. Victor Arvidsson, 2x4.
That's a big one.
Other than that,
He's
I guess Jeff
overrated,
Skinner,
too.
1x3.
Yeah.
That's probably good.
So he got
Henry
bought out by
re-signed him,
Buffalo.
2x3.
Corey
And
Perry
then
another
the
year.
janitor coming back. Yep, Corey Perry in it for a year.
Sorry, Oilers, you can't win the cup again this year.
But you will make it to the finals.
You will make it to the
Right,
finals.
right. Corey Perry, 39, gets another contract.
Adam Henrique.
Wow.
Guy
2 years,
wants
3
to win
mils.
another cup or win a
Yeah.
cup, win another cup, another one. He won with Anaheim. Yeah. Colin Delia, haven't heard that name in a while. Josh Brown, haven't heard that name in a while. 3 years by 1. That's the math. Okay, then the team who did win the cup, Florida. That's fun that they're next to each other alphabetically. I wonder if
They
that's
signed
ever happened
Gifford as
before.
well.
Probably during the original 6 era.
Oh, that doesn't count.
That of course it counts.
They're all next to each other basically. Uh, but
Big
yeah,
one
I
in
mean,
Florida, Sam Reinhart.
That was the
Re-signed.
big news was locking
8
him
years,
up.
8.63.
I mean, and Lundell.
Yeah, him too.
You think that's a team-friendly deal?
Yeah.
8.63. This is another thing where like he just came off 50 goals, right? 57
Right.
goals. And
They
it's
gave him
like,
69 million.
Is he gonna do that again? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably.
Like, he got 70 goals in the total season, including the playoffs, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of that's not sustainable, but it's possible,
player.
clearly, right?
Yeah.
Kulikov, they gave 4 years for a 33-year-old, which feels a little silly. Only 1 million a year, 1.15, but like, he's a little old. Nosek, Asplund, AJ Greer, former Bruin, Jesper
And Nosek
Boqvist.
and Boquist, all
Nosek,
former Bruins.
Golden Knight, also.
Yep, you got
Wow.
something there.
Chris Strieger, 795.
So they bring him back.
Above Leagueman, yeah. Entwistle, who I think is somebody they're bringing back. Isn't he already on the team? Where
think
did
he's with the
Mackenzie
Blackhawks.
play? Oh yeah, he was. And then the next big one, Lundell, young guy, young center, really good. Like, Finnish young guy following Barkov. I think it's great to have them on the team together. 6 years, 5 million feels like a steal with what young centers are going for so far. So I mean that.
But don't forget, it's a tax-free state, so that's why they could sign him for so cheap, of course.
Of course. And winning the cup helps. You probably want to stick around after you do that, so.
Usually. Or you want to chase the bag somewhere else. But
Right.
kind of got the
Nate
best
Schmidt
of
is
both
coming to
worlds.
try and chase the ring in Florida after getting bought out, signing one by basically Leagueman.
Former
As
Golden Knight.
Yep, and former Jet.
And
Kings
Capital.
time.
Kings don't do anything. Next, they sign a
Sign
bunch of
Warren Fogle
Sure.
and Joel
I guess.
Edmondson.
Yeah.
Copley. Trevor Lewis
But other
is
than that,
still kicking
nobody.
the can. He's been around forever. Jack
Minnesota. Yakov Trenin, Jake Middleton, and league minimum.
Yeah, I guess Warren Fogle and Joel Edmondson, like you said, are the big ones. They're both fine
Yeah.
deals. I'm not leaning either way on those.
Yeah.
Not a lot
Montreal
going on.
resigns
with
Uri
Minnesota.
Slavkovsky, 8
Hey,
by
it's
7.6.
Minnesota. I know they're forgettable, but we should at least go through them.
No, I looked at Minnesota. They
He
didn't
said-
do anything.
He said Trennan and
Oh, Trenin and Middleton. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and,
okay.
Travis
4x4, 4x3-5. They, those are bottom 4 and middle 6.
Reese
So
parts.
Terms.
Minnesota still has one more year of the high buyout prices.
Yeah,
no,
this is the last year where they're probably gonna be like not quite there, I think. So
Yeah.
next year will be the big year for them as far as the retool or whatever they're in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Montreal, Yuri Slafkovsky,
1.
8x7, 7.6. I think that's a really good deal. That feels Tim Stützle-esque.
Yeah.
Slafkovsky really turned it up at the end of last year. Obviously, I don't want the Canadians to do well, but he's a really cool player. So
Yep.
it'd be neat to see him do well. And 7.6, I feel like going forward is not gonna look bad. Like in 7 years for a 27-year-old, I feel like that's like who could be like in his prime. I mean, obviously you're betting on futures, but
Right. There's
I
some
feel like it's
risk
a solid
there,
bet.
but a super high reward. Like he's only been in the league for
Yeah.
2 seasons, but like from what you've seen, you're like, even if you keep playing the way you've been playing without getting any better, which would probably
And
be unexpected to not get
right,
any improvements, like you're probably still worth it.
right.
So
And if all he does is just get bigger, right? Because he's only 20, right?
yeah,
He's so
but
young.
like worst case he is a bust. But like again, he's played
But
2
that's already
seasons.
worst case, right? Like you spent a high draft pick on him, so you already want him to be good.
The
So,
highest
yeah,
draft pick,
Yeah.
that's right.
So,
first overall. in
We can skip
2022.
right over Nashville. They didn't really do anything.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't do anything, did they? Well, they did a
Barry
lot.
Trotz balls out. Barry
He-
Trotz said, "I'm here to play."
A lot
really-
of red on this one. All
Yeah, a
over
lot
the
of
board.
red.
Lot of red. A lot of red to
Major
start it off.
signings.
Brendan, do you want to take Marsh's show? How do you feel about that?
Okay. Yeah, let's. Yeah.
He feels
So-
okay about it. He likes it.
I don't like it, but I get it.
I don't like it.
So, and there's been a lot of like drama within like the Vegas circle about what transpired between his camp and the team, and that the team didn't do enough to bring him back. Sounds like he was kind of a stickler for getting 5 years, and Vegas wasn't willing to do that unless they were able to sort of finagle the contract where like he gets paid much less than he's worth like in the first couple of years, and then maybe they tack on signing bonuses once he turns 35 or performance bonuses. I think was maybe some of the route that they were going. It hasn't been like officially confirmed what the specifics of some of the offers were, but that never happens. But yeah, they weren't able to come to an agreement as far as where the league was, or where the team was comfortable financially to keep him. And it's tough because he leads the team in points, goals, probably playoff goals, a whole bunch of just like really the big stats. Like he's the franchise leader for a lot of categories for them. So to get him or to have him leave for nothing is obviously tough, and face of the franchise and all that, former misfit. So it's sad to see him go, but I understand the team position of he's 33 years old. We don't want to have him signed that long, and like we want to make sure that we can continue to get younger and still be like in contention. So it's I'm not happy about it. I was hoping that they would find a way to keep him, like prioritize him over anybody else, but with the Hurdle and Hannafin deals and the extension for Hannafin that they had at the deadline, it wasn't going to be feasible unless they traded some more guys. Like they pretty much let all of their UFAs walk. So I don't know where the goal scoring is going to come from for Vegas this year. We've got some inclinations.
Hurdle.
Yeah, hopefully Hurdle. But he's a center, so our right wing is looking a little weak right now. But anyways, that's Marchessault. Good for Nashville. I think he should do well there. He'll probably have a lot of fun in Nashville. And that's only the first of the 4 major signings here for Nashville.
I was going to say, the next player, also franchise leader from the team they're leaving in pretty much every single stat. Steven Stamkos, 4x8. Bit of an overpayment, but you're paying for a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. 2-time? 3-time.
You did this last time, too. It's only two times.
I keep thinking they won so much.
You're gonna sell $8 million in jerseys, so that.
Oh,
for that.
yeah.
I still I thought for sure that they were gonna find a way to keep
Keep
him.
him.
I
But
think Stamkos just over. It's happened every time. Like, he's like
I mean,
if you
maybe at this point.
you signed Hedman, who's the same age, to like whatever his contract was, and it's like every year you do this with me. Like, again, like how much he's given to the team, he probably wanted to stay, but it's just like over how he's been treated by management. He's like, whatever, I'll just go get the bag somewhere else.
yeah.
I'll go make another team a cup contender.
And so yeah, I
Right.
think it's overall a pretty smart move by Nashville. It's again gonna be one of those ones that doesn't age well, but that's what happens with
Yeah.
most of these guys. You're just trying to get them on your team while you think you're in a cup window, which it seems like they're accelerating that window. Like they weren't really that close. They did make a surprise playoff berth this year, which some people weren't expecting. So.
They played well in the first round.
They did. They did play well. They just kind of got
I
stymied.
bet on them banking playoffs next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will. So, good for them. They will continue on. They also signed Brady Shea to a 7-year deal. He's 30 years of age, 7x7. I don't have a ton negative to say about that either. He's a pretty solid defensive defenseman with a little bit of offensive upside. And Carolina wasn't going to be able to keep him. At least at that money.
Yeah, I think Carolina's all set on defense though with what they got. So yeah, I think 7x7's a good signing there.
And they lock up Saros after some rumors about whether or not he was going to get traded. It's like, yeah, he always wanted to stay. And Nashville obviously wanted to keep him. He's one of the best goalies in the league right now. So lock him up 8x7.74. So we'll see if that sets the precedent for a potential Swayman signing later down the road.
Yeah, it seemed low to me. Like, if we got Swayman for that, I'd be super happy.
Yeah. So now it's like, is Shesterkin going to be pissed because...
he's still getting double digit.
Yeah.
I guess, what is that? 8-figure.
That's just crazy to even say 8 figures, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Probably.
And they also signed Matt Murray. Wait, this is the other Matt Murray, right?
There's two Matt Murray, so
goalies.
this is the Matt Murray that was in Dallas.
The young Matt Murray.
Yeah,
but the other Matt Murray also got signed to, I think, like a league min or like a 1 mil, but we'll get there.
Yeah, somewhere else.
We will.
That's about it.
They signed Carrier, Wedgwood, Blankenberg's pretty much nothing, and
Hinestroza.
Yeah.
Hinestroza.
He doesn't move the needle a ton, but sure, for 2 years at league minimum, there's no risk.
New Jersey. Brett Pesce. 6 years by 5.5.
He sounded like he really wanted to go to the Devils, so I think that's a great signing by them.
Yeah.
And they get Brendan Dillon as well.
Yep. Colin White, former Sen, league min.
Colton
Stefan Nosten.
White.
Never mind. Not former Sen.
Looks
Still
like
gets 2 years league min. Thomas Tatar.
We got to get
1
the
year,
soundboard
1.8.
going so we can start doing those sound effects.
Yeah, but we use our own versions of it.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
He sticks around for one more year.
Almost to the best team. Okay.
The best
New York,
team.
here we go.
Right now.
The
We're on the best team right now.
Yeah.
The Islanders.
They did so much.
They did so much. Mike Riley, 1 by 1.25. Duclair, 4 by 3.5. Which
That's a pretty good signing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Bottom six.
Islanders fans were happy about that. Zane was pretty excited. So that's fun. He gets to go to another team. You think he's at like 10 or 11 teams probably
He's
now.
been on a lot of teams, yeah.
But he finally
New
got
York's-
some stability.
Yeah.
With the 4-year
The Rangers
deal.
similarly do almost nothing.
They
Same
do even
Carrick,
less.
3 by 1. Well, Sam Carrick 3 by 1, Fitzgerald 2 by min, and Bo Growl. Won by 775.
Growl X.
Growl X.
Roll.
Sens don't do much.
Growl.
David Perron, gonna be a great bottom 6 guy for us. 2 years for a 36-year-old is perfect. Please don't pay him any more than that. We don't need him after that. We get Mike Abadio back, so 2 people who have won the cup.
Sad to see him go.
Yeah, happy to get him.
But I don't think I
seems
would
like a
have.
great
I don't think
grinder.
I would have loved paying him 2.6 for 3 years. But
But that feels like perfect bottom line money.
yeah, I mean,
2.6.
he finally gets to
That's
get
the
some
best
money,
fourth liner.
which is good.
Yeah. And he can play right wing, left wing, center. So good to have.
Yep.
We get Adam Gaudette back for league min, but then the big thing is signing RFA Shane Pinto for a 2x375, which like feels like great value. Granted, I've been watching the kid obviously for a minute, and it's a show me deal, right? Like I could see him going from this to like wanting a 6x7 if he does
Yeah,
really
this is your
well, right?
bridge for sure.
This is for sure. Right, he's 23. But yeah, I mean, great for the team.
Yeah, I mean, last year, like they basically bought a extra year of him at league minimum last year because of the whole suspension. So they kicked that can down the road, and so now this is kind of like the last small deal he'll probably get before he gets a big one in a couple seasons, I would imagine, unless he doesn't really pan out. But I think he'll do fine after a pretty strong second half. Well, first half for him. Let's see. What do we got for Philly? I don't remember.
Not a
Matvey
whole lot.
Michkov. Telling
Matvey
for him
Michkov.
to come across the seas so early. So you never know with draft picks from Russia, so that'll be cool to.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume he'll be playing some NHL games this year.
Yeah,
so.
3x950, his ELC. Garnet Hathaway, former cap, 2x2.4. Bobby Brink, 2x1.5. Potentially good young kid. Just, needs to figure it out.
And they bring back Eric Johnson.
Cup winner, Eric Johnson. Put some respect on the name.
So I don't
Got a
think
ring in the
they're-
room.
I don't think they're expecting to be as good as they were this past season. So smart for them not to okay, this is the summer where we're gonna go all in and really try to push for a bunch of these guys because they're not at that position at all. So smart to not go crazy.
Cross-state rivals get Grzelcyk, Beauvillier, a whole bunch at league minimum, Blake Lizotte, and
They
the
signed
defense.
Aho for $775. The crazy steal.
Yeah.
No way. Sebastian Aho. What?
The
That's not a
Sebastian
major
Aho,
signing.
who plays defense.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
switched-
there's
he
new
switched
position.
positions.
Yeah.
Not only did we sign him for league minimum, we also made him switch positions to defense.
Well, that was the deal. He really wanted to play defense. Like, we can't pay you forward money then if you want to play defense.
Yeah,
Oh.
you get your defense money.
Yeah.
The Sharks signed 2 big forwards. They get Wenberg 2x5, Toffoli 4x6. Don't love that second deal as much. Somebody's got to play hockey, and the Sharks are not very good, so probably another team reaching the cap floor.
Well, the other thing they're doing is this makes me think that they're gonna Celebrin's not gonna go back to college. Like, they're doing this to probably surround
Entice him.
him and Will Smith with some talent.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Will Smith will probably play another year in college, but
What about Celebrini?
he signed for 4 years. I feel like I think Celebrini will play for the Sharks this year. That's how I feel. He looked pretty good at development camp already, so
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
yeah.
For Seattle, we got Brandon Montour, 7x7.14, which a bit much for a defenseman at 30, but they did basically the exact same deal with Chandler Stevenson, 7x6.25 for another 30-year-old. So
Which that one
shelling out
is
some money.
that
Neither one
one
looks great.
is not gonna be a good contract. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that that's not gonna work out for them.
This is like the opposite of Florida, where it's like no one wants to play for Seattle, so they have to pay him more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in a weird spot development-wise, right? Like they're on the cusp of making playoffs. So do you like try and go down and come up? Do you try and just push? Other than that, they signed a lot of league men.
The new coach this year too.
It'll be interesting. They're an interesting team.
Yeah,
Their
I would
fates are
love.
sort of tied to Vegas, so it'll be interesting how their franchises go. The
Yep.
Blues, Kasperi
Take a
Kapanen,
pause.
1x1. Buchnevich, 6x8, which is
That's good.
I feel like that's he's good, right? It'll be interesting to see him. I don't know. Will he be 1C there? You think?
Yes. Pretty sure.
I don't know who else is on the Blues right now.
Yeah,
And then,
I
like we
feel
said
so. I feel like
earlier,
he will be.
Pierre Olivier joining his brother in St. Louis. That's cool.
That is definitely cool.
Tampa, like you mentioned, re-signs Hedman. Additionally, they get for a 4x8. Additionally, they get Gensel on a 7x9, which is a lot of money, but you're basically just getting a younger Stamkos.
But I wouldn't go that far.
Uh, Plays the same position. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Not really.
Tough.
That doesn't really have the
I
same
think
weight
tough.
though.
No, tough to swallow for Lightning fans. But if Stamer wasn't coming back, you want a replacement. Jake Gensel is a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
Well, they found another Steven to replace him.
Cam,
Same name, they're basically the same person, right, Owen?
Steven Santini, same person.
Yeah,
Plays defense,
same.
doesn't matter.
Not even the same position.
Doesn't matter.
Jesse
Other than that,
Yolinen.
a whole lot of nothing.
Pouliot,
Cam
former
Atkinson for a
Golden Knight.
year.
Yeah, Cam Atkinson, who he got bought out by Philly, so they're
Right.
giving him one
League
last
men,
go around,
yeah.
more or less.
See what happens.
Zane expects him to get 45 points for some reason. I would be pretty surprised if he did.
We can quickly go through those dirty Leafs. Max Domi, 4x375, probably a decent contract. Liljegren, 2x3, Wall, 3x3.6. Hopefully he can play well.
I think that's
Tanev,
fine.
6x4.5. 6 years for Tanev is ridiculous. He's going
I
to
was
be
gonna
40
say,
at the end of
I
that.
think this one's bad, especially he's so injury prone the way he plays.
So injury prone.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Granted,
that's not a
4.5
good
isn't a
deal.
lot, but like you're going to be paying him forever. OEL for 4x3.5. I also don't love that one. He's a little old, but 3.5 isn't that much.
Yeah.
Stolarz, 2x2.5, I think is big. I think
Other
that's
Matt Murray.
and other Matt Murray.
So they brought him back.
Yeah, one by league man basically, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel like they got better, but
Yanni
they also
Hakanpää,
paid a
2x1.5.
lot of money for a long time,
Yeah,
and they still haven't decided what they're doing with Marner. So
right.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't love this for the Leafs right now. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, other than bringing back Wall, and I think Stolarz is an upgrade.
Yeah.
Over
yeah, their
Samsonov.
goalies are like okay, like their goalies are better, but it's still not like I still don't love it.
There's no. It doesn't feel like there's a 1A or even a
Because
1.
neither of them have played a ton of like
Right.
games per season.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess Murray's like
get that
a little
Leafs
insurance.
taste out of my mouth. Utah, the Utah not Yeti. Sean Dursey 4x6.
I feel like it's a lot of money for someone I haven't heard much about.
No, I think that's a good deal. I liked what
Where
I
is he
saw
playing?
from him in LA, and then he did play a little bit in Arizona before now.
I got that East
playing
Coast
Utah.
bias still.
Yeah. No, I know who he is, and I do think that's a good deal.
Okay.
Ian Cole 1x3. Stenlin 2x2.
Yeah. Not crazy. I think they're
Yusuf Valimaki 2x2.
Their trades were
But the trade,
deals.
yeah. I mean, so now their defensemen are going to be Hedman, Kesselring, Valimaki, Dursey.
Sergachev, not Hedman.
Sorry, yeah, Sergachev. With Kesselring, Valimaki, Dursey, Connaughton, Pat Connaughton, or Kevin Connaughton. Pat Connaughton's a basketball player. And Patrick Koch. Obviously, none of those guys are going to play all season, but
it's a decent top
other
four.
than that, It's like right with Cole and Dursey and Sergachev. I think you're gonna be okay.
Yep.
Almost there. Vancouver.
Almost there. Yeah, we're struggling.
Jake DeBrusk, 7-year,
listeners.
5.5. That's
Thoughts,
something to talk
Dean?
about.
I feel like, well, I guess from the Bruins' perspective, I wouldn't have wanted to sign this deal just because of the term, like the cap hit, like 5.5 per. I was like, if we did that for 2 or 3 years, I'd be like, that's fine.
Until he's 30.
But
Seven's a while.
I think he wanted term, and he's always been a streaky player. So like, I don't know. I would have loved to keep him, but for 7 years, like, for
See
they
ya.
can have him. They can
Yeah,
have
that's
him.
how
Yeah.
I feel. That's how I feel about like Chandler Stevenson and Carrier. Like for that money, like there was no way we were gonna be able to compete with that. So
Right.
good
Yeah.
luck to you.
I've
you know?
expected him to get less term and more AAV on the open market, but yeah. I also don't think we talked about Dakota Joshua because that happened after we recorded. He got
Yeah.
4 years, 3.25 per.
Which is, I mean, I feel like he was just sort of coming, like, showing up on the scene despite being 28. But, you know, middle six, maybe bottom six forward.
Mm-hmm.
Lock him up for a bit. Tyler Myers, they brought him back 3x3. Jet Wu, great name. Danton Heinen, 2x2.5.
That's another one where it's like, well, he played
2.25.
league min last. Well, he was a PPO
Yeah.
deal for Boston.
Yeah.
He played great. It's just something where it's like, we loved you. Great having you. Thank you for your service. Go get your paycheck somewhere now because we
Yeah.
don't have the money. Like,
Right.
it's kind of just a mutual thing. Like,
Yeah.
here you played great for us, so now you've earned your paycheck. We can't give it to you, but someone will.
Someone
So,
will.
happy
Someone will
for
pay you.
him.
Yeah.
Derek Forbort, so long. Happy to see him go.
Yeah.
1 year, 1.5 mil. Again, we were
Yeah.
paying him 3.5.
Ooh.
So that's good. Like, would I have signed him another year for 1.5? Probably still not. Like 1 mil maybe, but like I'm over him.
Yeah,
Most
that's fair.
Bruins fans are probably over him. So.
The wonderful Golden Knights didn't do a whole lot.
No, they didn't because they did most of their work previously. But
Right.
So yeah, with the Noah Hannafin deal was the big extension before free agency, and then so they picked up Zach Aston Reese. Has spent a little bit of time in the NHL, but he was with the Penguins for a while. Doesn't move the needle a ton, despite what is it Jay Fresh is the Penguins fan that always likes Zach Aston Reese. He's a big fan of him. Picked up Ilya Samsonov. I was not super happy about it, but Vegas has found a way to turn like goaltenders around. We have a good goalie coach, and obviously we did that with Aiden Hill.
Much.
Like I didn't feel super strongly about Hill when we picked him up from the Sharks last year, and so I'll wait a little bit to see how I feel about that one. Dorofeev, we re-signed him. I'm glad that we're keeping him around because he's a young guy who I think has a lot of potential upside, and also Caden Korzak on D is pretty much the future there. And McCrimmon said that he expects Korzak to be a full-time NHLer this year, which I'm a little bit surprised because I feel like I don't know who he'll replace. Maybe he'll slot in for White Cloud, but I don't know. I think he's once he's in, he'll have a good role. And then we picked up Victor Olofsson at 1 year 1.07. So I like that. I think reuniting him with Eichel could be fun. I don't know if he'll actually play with him on the first line. Probably not. He'll probably be like second or third line guy. But I like that. It's not, again, none of these moves are super crazy, but they weren't really able to do much with the cap space that they had, the amount of guys that they had to let go. So it's different, as a Vegas fan, not like seeing all these splash moves. It's like, oh, all these guys are signing people. why isn't Vegas doing anything? Like they
Your
always.
splash moves are the trade deadline.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah.
do for all. And then you gotta like fix your whole cap like craziness during the off season, and then get ready for the next trade deadline.
Yeah, it's kind of a relief, to be honest, to not have to be like worrying, like, oh, what are we gonna do with the cap? Like, we are basically good to go with Leonard on
Right.
IR, on LTIR. So it's
Ready to go play hockey.
Use
Yeah.
another injury or two during the season, maybe another LTIR.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We always find a way, don't we?
Well, I heard that's why
Always.
Marshall so wanted to leave because
He
they
didn't
were
want to be
gonna
a
say
cheater.
he had
It
the
was his
contract
turn.
negotiation said you have to be on LTIR this season.
Yeah. It was his turn in the cycle to be the
There
one
was
that's
some like
Yeah.
hurt.
news about that where like they were offering him like for like non-traditional contract stuff. So he was like, I just want to get
Yeah,
paid
that's
or
what it
whatever.
was. The LTIR clause.
Mhm. I don't know what it would be because like you can't front load or back load like the payment. Like there's a certain percent you have to be within because of like the CBA. But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway.
that's why I was thinking. Like, I was thinking it was
Anyway.
maybe performance or signing bonuses. Like once he hits the eligible age for that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you can do that though. So
No, I
maybe.
think you can't do it in like you have, maybe they want to do a short term and then another.
Yeah, that might have been what it was. Like, do a 2-year deal, for like 5 or 6 million maybe, and then you sign him to.
Also,
to a
if
deal
if
after
Vegas
that.
told me, here's the plan, we're gonna sign you for 2 years, and then in 2 years we're gonna sign you again for this, I'm like, I don't trust a word you're saying about what you're
Yeah.
gonna do in 2 years. Like I've
Yeah.
seen what you've done.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, we don't know exactly if that's how it went down, but if that's what it could have been, I wouldn't be too surprised.
so anyway, Washington.
Washington. Nobody. Connor McMichael re-signed. Matt Waugh coming in from LA, 6 year,
actually Roy.
5.75.
Yeah, his is Roy.
His is Roy.
Matt Waugh, 6.575. Matt Raw.
That's actually I actually really like that signing for the Caps. I
I
think
think
he's
that's
a
good for them.
really good player, like number one D-man kind of player.
And he can play across from Chikrin, who's a left shot.
Yeah. So they
Like
I
that's
think,
that's a good number one pair right there.
I think the Caps have made some pretty solid moves. I mean, we'll see how Pierre-Luc Dubois pans out. That's like one of the big question marks. But other than that, they've turned a sticky situation into one where like Caps fans will actually be excited to go to the games, at least for the first couple months, maybe.
It definitely got better for sure.
Yeah, and Ovi has got to be happy with
more
that.
talent.
Right. It's just the Ovi show.
Yeah.
For the Jets, they re-signed Dylan DeMello, but that was before the last pod, so that might have been on it.
Night. I don't know if we talked about it, but
4x4.9 for a 31-year-old former Sen. He was the Eric Carlson partner of the future that now neither of them are here. There.
There.
4x4.9 feels like a lot, but I think they like him there. He's a good, just sort of shutdown guy. Other than that, they got Chiller.
They did.
2x1.5.
After they traded for him at the deadline, they get a couple goalies in Capo Kakinen, and they re-sign Comrie.
Eric Comrie. Yeah.
So
like none of that really seems to swing the needle too much. That seems like pretty much the same team going back.
it's just Hellebuck and then somebody that can play 30 games
10,
basically.
10 games.
10, yeah.
Games.
Maybe not
Maybe
30.
back in the day.
Closer, yeah. I think probably closer to like 25 or 22 or something like that. So those are
That was it.
fine.
That was every signing.
We did it.
We covered all. That was a free agent frenzy.
Thank
It
you if you
was.
made it this far.
It was over $1 billion in contracts signed on
That's
the
wild.
first day of free agency, which has never happened before.
That's pretty cool.
That's the total contract amount, not the AAV, of course, but still, lots of stuff.
Lots of money.
So
Yeah.
since we're at, well, we've been recording for 2 hours and 20 minutes, but
Really
probably
recording
2 hours on the podcast. I figured this stuff we can save for another day because it's not really time sensitive, and then we can just talk about the Seattle Kraken hiring Jessica Campbell as an assistant coach, which makes her the first woman in NHL history woman, not women, to be behind the bench. So that is exciting.
That's
I know we had
exciting.
this
Very
discussion
exciting.
about when we thought there would be a female, either head coach or I don't know if we even talked about assistant, but like sooner than we expected. I think both of us.
Yeah.
So awesome there.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Like that's only going to be moving forward. Hopefully there isn't any pushback. I mean, there obviously will be some, as people are not always the kindest, especially when they're behind a keyboard and a screen. But yeah, I think that's really neat to see.
Yeah. I think we had sort of, when we were talking about if he was either going to be head coach or general manager, we were leaning towards manager sort of side. But as far as assistant, I don't think it's like crazy that it's happening now, and I'm pretty excited for it, and so we'll see how she gels with the rest of the group, and it's like pretty much a whole new coaching staff with Bilesma coming in as well. I think he probably hired another assistant coach as well. I don't know if he did the hiring himself, but yeah, that's a fun little story. So it'll just be cool to, if of course for women watching the NHL, like yes, women actually have a role in this league,
Right.
and hopefully we'll continue to have major roles in the league going forward.
Yeah, it's cool to happen like around the same time as the PWHL becoming a thing. Like,
Yeah, and I'm sure not in no part because of it, right? Like I'm sure that played a role.
Cool.
And then the last news thing we had, they kind of snuck this news in there on Canada Day during the free agency frenzy.
Oh, the CHL thing.
So it was the NHL announced that the former Blackhawks executives Stan Bowman, Joe Quenneville, and Al McIsaac, all have been reinstated because they were previously about like a 2-year suspension, I think it was. So that they're now eligible to seek employment again. And just another L for the league with that one.
Yeah, I feel like you probably could have just kept those old men in their club and not let them back.
Yeah, and it's obviously for the whole Kyle Beach thing. Yeah, not great news.
We'll see how long it takes for a team to sign one of these guys.
One of them. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely
That's
a couple
upsetting.
coaching vacancies still. So I'm not sure. It's just not great. I mean, I get the whole like they shouldn't be punished forever, but it's like it's a privilege to be in the league.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
it's not a punishment to not be able to get your job back. You can go find a different job.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if somebody hires Quenneville. I wouldn't be surprised, and probably Bowman will get a look too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be met with a lot of scrutiny at first, and then, like what always happens, people will forget, and especially if the team is successful once they hire them.
Right. Whatever. Oh well.
No, it's a disappointment.
Way to end it on a. It is.
We can then end it by talking about the Beaverton article that got written about it when it made it a little bit.
Made it a
the
little
Beaverton always has some good hits on this. One of the quotes was, "It's not just the money that these three lost. They had to live with guilt every day, thinking over and over how they could have won more cups if this hadn't happened."
Classic Beaverton.
And with that, we'll leave you. Thank you for sticking with us for over 2 hours of us saying players' names and money, dollar amounts, and years. And that's all. Goodbye.
But you're now so informed. I think I'm ready.
I know I'm ready.
Me too. Folks, welcome.
Go Power Ranger. Sorry.
Oh, damn it, Owen.